Let's talk about a withdrawal. The National Intelligence Estimate came out in January and said this: if coalition forces were withdrawn rapidly, we judge that this almost certainly would lead to a significant increase in the scale and scope of sectarian conflict in Iraq, intensify Sunni resistance to the Iraqi government, and have adverse consequences for national reconciliation. If such a rapid withdrawal were to take place, we judge that the Iraqi security forces would be unlikely to survive as a non-sectarian national institution. Neighboring countries might intervene openly in the conflict. Massive civilian casualties and forced population displacement would be probable. Al-Qaeda in Iraq would attempt to use parts of the country, particularly in Al-Anbar province, to plan increased attacks in and outside of Iraq. Are you prepared for that?
Well, let me tell you something, Tim. They said this about Al-Qaeda in Iraq. They said we have weapons of mass destruction. The same intelligence agency, we're spending more money than all the other intelligence agencies in the world, came to the conclusion that it was in our national interest to go into Iraq. Now they're saying this. The public in Iraq says the opposite. They say we're the ones that are inciting demonstration. We're the ones that they want us out of there. 64% of the public in Iraq wants us out of Iraq. The world wants us out of Iraq because we're focusing caught in a civil war. So there's going to be instability. But they have to settle themselves. What I'm saying is we can't do it ourselves. The Iraqis have to do it. The international community has to get involved. Sure, there's going to be some problems, but it's not going to be any worse than it is now.
Michael O'Hanlon of the Brookings Institution said this in the Wall Street Journal: Congress's overall efforts are misguided for one fundamental reason. We cannot yet be sure that the situation in Iraq is totally hopeless. It is bad, indeed bad, very bad, but there still may be a glimmer of hope. If not to win, then at least to achieve some minimum level of stability. Do you believe it's totally hopeless?
Tim, I believe that we can't win this militarily. I believe it has to be done diplomatically. That's why I think redeployment is the first move. I suggested to the administration they ought to get our troops out of the palaces, Saddam Hussein's palaces. We ought to bulldoze Abu Ghraib. We ought to close Guantanamo. Those are the kind of things that get worldwide attention because of what happened in those tragic incidents. So it's a matter of you can't win it militarily. It has to be done internationally. It has to be diplomatically. And in the meantime, we've lost our ability to respond to a threat to our national security down the road, and that's just as important as what's going to happen in Iraq.
But to the point, why not take the chance, the glimmer of hope? Or do you just think it's totally hopeless?
I don't see any chance of us winning this militarily. I think they're going about it the wrong way. They're finally starting to change. They're talking to Iran. That's what's going to prevail there. That's where you're going to have stability. You're going to have international communication. This is just as important to the Europeans as it is to us. But why did the British pull their troops out? Because they came to the conclusion in these kind of wars you can't win it militarily. You have to win it diplomatically, and you have to use the international community.